We're on page 4, the Minuet by Purcell. Let's look at the time signature, 3/4, and let's check out the rhythms. Left hand, first phrase, looks like we just have dotted halves. Right hand, some eighths to start, but then quarters. Moving on to the second phrase, that left hand bass line looks like we have start with dotted halves, moving on to half notes, tied quarters, while the tenor has its own rhythm, so it almost sounds like we have quarters in the left. Right hand for the second phrase starts out just like the first phrase with those eighths, quarters, and continues on in a similar fashion to the first phrase. Now let's check out the key signature. Could it be the major or the relative minor? Well, check this out. We see an A chord, looks like an A chord, AC, in measure 1 with the G sharp. Could be the leading tone in the right hand. What's with that G natural in the second bar? Might be the natural form of the minor as you descend in the scale in the left hand. Then that fourth bar. Here comes the leading tone back in the left hand, third bar in the right hand. It's probably an A minor. We might be modulating though, so keep that in mind. Moving on to the phrase structure. Is it a typical 4-bar phrase structure? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 for the second phrase. So we've got our antecedent and our consequence with a lovely 5/1 cadence, authentic at the very end of the second phrase. Now let's look at that bass line. Ooh, it's moving right down the scale. And then with the second phrase, looks like we have a much more open pattern. Looks like a C major, move into G major with more thirds and fifths and octaves in the left hand. In the right hand, if we look at the melodic shape, kind of swings around the A, looks like a turn with a fifth in the second bar. Third bar looks similar to the first bar except that the rhythm changes, ending on Re for a nice dominant right here. Moving on to the second phrase, looks like we're going to play the similar phrase as the beginning, but it's just up a third. Could be a sequence. And if we look at the sixth bar, yeah, it's the fifth coming down, just like the second bar. Seventh bar, a little different there, but ends up on the tonic note for A minor. We've looked at the phrase structure, the bass line, and the melody line, and we've tried to see some repeated phrases. Now go ahead and look at your third phrase, completely different, and analyze. Please pause. We're back. Now let's move on. You've just finished the third phrase. Let's look at the remaining two phrases. Wow, that fourth phrase looks very similar to the first phrase. Is it? I bet you it is. Check it out. Pause. We're back. So maybe is the last phrase similar to the second phrase? Please analyze. Pause. As you can see, there was a lot of similarity between the first and the fourth phrase and the second and the fifth phrase. Now it's time to feel the meter and tap those rhythms. Please pause. Now is the point where you want to feel the key of A minor. You might want to also feel some C major if you feel like you went to C major. Or could you have gone to the parallel major, A major? Think about it. Anyway, go ahead and play your A minor scales. Try to play all three forms, natural, harmonic, and melodic. And then go ahead with your tonic and your dominant seventh chords. Keep those eyes closed. Please pause. We're back. Now it's time to hear that first phrase in your head. Can you hear your left hand descending and your right hand with the melodic structure? Please pause. It's time now to play. Remember, eyes on the music, steady tempo, don't stop, don't correct. Here you go.